Wiggle is such a... You can't really put it into a schedule.
We do more shows than any group I know. And it's not, you know, acoustic guitar with a balloon on a stick. This is a full-on show.
I knew that when Emma was on tour in Canada last year, her strength was failing and she was tiring very easily.
I noticed that she was getting very thin and very ill.
I started to feel like all the wheels were falling off, and I didn't really know if it was just my health or, you know, if it was my relationships.
It's not easy spending that much time together with the pressure of work too, and I think it has gone through ups and downs.
I think people had recognised that maybe dynamically things had changed between us. The show really must go on. That really has been the forefront of our mind the whole time.
She's the girl with the bow in her hair. Everybody put your hands in the air and sing Emma.
Emma is the number one. She's the Elvis of the Wiggles.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Come on, everybody. Clap your hands.
You could look into the audience, 60%, 80% of the children are dressed like Emma.
Well, the Wiggles are 27 years old and I'm 28, so I think most of my childhood was filled with Wiggles.
Our first live video, which we shot at the Seymour Centre, we cut to the audience a few times, and there is Emma with her sister. I mean, wow, if you're into signs from above, ta-da!
Definitely, yeah. She was probably born to be a Wiggle, I'd say. Yeah.
Do you remember that photo? I've got your straw hat on,
Yes.
and I've got a guitar, but I'm
Yes.
playing it like a double bass.
Yes.
With a violin.
Emma as a child was always very busy, very driven. She sort of demanded a caesarean because she wanted to be out early.
Emma's got this crazy drive. She's just on a different level to anyone that I know.
I was very much a bossy child, trying to get everybody involved in some sort of street dance concert at every weekend.
Dancing is a massive part of Emma's life. As long as I could remember, she loves it.
I went to high school at the MacDonald College, which was a performing arts high school, and I got a scholarship for ballet and for dance.
In year 10, Emma had a dancing accident.
We just got so excited. My leg completely missed the ground and I came flat down on my coccyx.
They found there was a small crack at the base of her spine. It meant that she had to leave off dance for quite some time.
I was so devastated, and a whole year of not dancing at a performing arts school was a really big deal.
She was becoming depressed because of it. We very quickly decided that she had to move into another form of performance activity, and she took up filmmaking. She embraced filmmaking very, very quickly, and she won a scholarship to Sydney Film School for a year.
After film school, I formed a production company with my friend, and it gave me a chance to be able to audition whenever I wanted to.
I just take you back and I just fix that when you do this shape.
Like, in a short space of time, I auditioned for everything. Lion King, Hairspray, Wicked. And I'd get really close to the end, but I'd never get through.
I thought that she's going to have to give up this at some stage, but she just kept on going. She just kept on applying for auditions and with the faith that somewhere she'd pick up something.
One lady on one of the musical boards, she said to me, "You're really strong, we want to hire you, but your singing's not strong enough." And I think at that point, then I realised I needed to do something about it. But the following week, I got an audition for the Wiggles.
Hey there! It's time for
2010, Emma came to audition for a role as a ballet dancing fairy for the Dorothy the Dinosaur show.
Everyone can be a fairy, fairy, fairy.
Because the Wiggles had so much touring to go, there's a lot of work that we were missing out on. So we created this character-based show, and that Dorothy the Dinosaur show would tour around Australia.
Fly right through the sky.
I was like, that is me. I have fairy-like hair, I can do ballet, I can be a fairy, this is great.
So sweet and
She stood out. And over the years, you can pretty much very quickly see the can-do people. I reckon they could tour. So she ticked all the boxes.
Let's all shake. Let's all move our arms around.
I was Captain Feathersword at the time for the Dorothy show. She learnt the show overnight. She filmed it, and then she came on the road with us.
During that tour, I'd mentioned to the group that I'd been to film school, and they were like, great, let's make some videos while we're on the road. And a few months later, we were doing a tea party at one of the Wiggle shows, and I hadn't actually met the Wiggles at that point. Anyway, Anthony walked past me in the hallway. He said, oh, you made that video on Facebook, didn't you, that music video? I said, oh, yeah. And I didn't know if I was in trouble for making the video at that time. And he said, did you edit it? I said, yes. He's like, great editing. And then that was it. It was just a few months later I got a phone call saying that Anthony really wanted to bring me on the road as a wiggly dancer, and just everything stopped. It was just the most... I just never thought I'd hear that phone call. I just never thought that I would be on the road with the Wiggles.
In classic Emma fashion, we just met, we were on this show together, and then she gets whisked away to the big show.
I remember Anthony had pulled me aside before a show, and he said to me, look, I really want to tell you personally that the original Wiggles are retiring at the end of the year. And my heart just sank because I just started with the Wiggles and I just didn't want it to end.
It's the end of an era. 3 of the Wiggles are set to hang up their skivvies. After
20 years or so of touring, you know, physically it takes its toll.
I was shocked the guys were pulling the pin because I just didn't want to. I just never thought about that.
Greg, Jeff and Murray will retire from live performance, but Anthony will stay in the big red car.
And he said, but actually we're starting a new lineup. And I was thinking, wow.
Next year, Anthony will be back with 3 new Wiggles, and we'd like to introduce you to them right now.
I said, well, who are you going to have? Well, it must be Simon.
Firstly, the red Wiggle, Simon Price. Hi, everyone. We call him Simon Wiggle. Hi there.
I said, well, who else? And he said, Lockie. I was like, of course, Lockie.
Lachlan Gillespie, we call him Lockie Wiggle.
I said, well, what about the other position? Are you going to audition? And he said, no, we want you.
And for the first time in Wiggle history, a female Wiggle. It's Emma Watkins, everyone. Emma Wiggle.
Hi, everyone.
Initially, there was pushback. It's just not right. A woman in the Wiggles. What?
We copped lots of flack. We got, you know, they're not the real Wiggles, fake Wiggles.
I think at the start people were shocked. And fair enough too, all of a sudden these children's whole childhood had been changed dramatically in one go, and we didn't have anything to back ourselves up with either.
The first year of performing was tough. The big question was, okay, will this new lineup work?
We were touring on a shoestring budget. We were playing quarter-empty halls, half-empty halls.
There was quite a few moments as a group where we thought this actually might not work. It just might have taken too big a hit. The audiences weren't coming.
The early performances, when I look back to them now, I just laugh because, you know, they're all trying to find their feet. I think it probably took them around maybe like at least 2 years to really settle into who they wanted to be.
Emma's never had singing lessons. She was actually really worried to start with about singing.
Can I sit down?
She has cried in here quite a few times because she just didn't like the sound of hearing her voice.
That would be the only time I'd going, what are we going to do? Because we can't not have Emma singing. And I said to her, Emma, you have to sing.
Sing up. They're the world's tallest, Africa's holiest.
But Emma and Lockie had that real lovely chemistry, and Lockie gently would bring it out of her. Tell her where the note is and all that. You know, help her through it. She's got a beautiful voice now, and she's, you know, right on pitch. She's beautiful.
They came out on stage for one of the concerts, and the applause for Emma as the female Wiggle stopped the show for several minutes. And Anthony looked at her, she told me, and he said, "It's changed. It's changed now, and it's going to go on like this."
Emma's played a huge part in the revitalisation of the Wiggles. Australia, we're as big as we possibly have been in the past, you know, and that new audience of little ones, that's their Wiggles. They don't know the original guys now.
And Lockie.
Come on, join us.
With Emma and Lockie, come join the fun. It's a wonderful place to be.
Right from the get-go, we just got on straight away, and we just got each other.
Petticoat, where's her coat? Can you find it while she's running along?
We had the best conversation, and I just remember going home that night and I was on a total high, and I wrote 2 little songs about goats, which I know she loves.
Petticoats dancing around.
I sent them to her on the little voice memo on the phone, and she loved them, and that was where the friendship really started, which was so lovely. I knew instantly that we were going to get on and have a really fun time.
In the Dorothy show, we had a rule of thumb, which was, if you've got a relationship with someone, great, we just don't want to know about it.
We did really make a point to keep the relationship quite quiet in the initial stages, because we both felt that the most important thing at that time was the group and the band, and everyone was just starting to work out who the group was.
We actually got a call here at the office one day that someone had spotted us in Brisbane holding hands at a market. I remember feeling sick. Then we had to kind of come out that we were together.
A wedding and a baby definitely down the track, but we've got a massive year this year touring, but all those exciting things definitely to come.
Lockie rang me up when they got engaged, and he kind of wanted my seal of approval.
I remember being so random and so nervous on the phone. I said, I just wanted to ask you, I'm just going to ask Evan to marry me. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm not your dad.
You know, it's kind of funny and lovely as well, you know, like as if Anthony's going to say anything but other than you beauty, you know, but that's classic Lockie. Yeah.
Here we go.
About a year or so after the wedding, I started feeling really tired and run down. I started to have bleeding every day. However, when you're on the tour and when you travel so much, your cycle goes out of whack. And so I think initially when the bleeding started to continue, I just thought maybe I was really in tune with other women. And so I thought that my cycle was just hopping onto other people's. I thought, oh, well, I like that girl, hop onto her cycle. And I honestly, I just didn't think that much of it. It's massaging my feet though.
You know, you have a bit of pain, you keep going, you just sort of get on with it, because no one really gives you a real lot of sympathy being a girl, to be quite honest.
One time we were filming here in the studio and I started to feel incredibly sick. So I just excused myself from filming and went upstairs to the bathroom and look, I have no idea what came over me, but I completely collapsed on the floor.
She was absolutely just in agony. She just couldn't get up. She didn't know why. She just was in such strong cramps that she just couldn't move. So that was really frightening.
Sometimes when I saw her, I'd say, "Are you okay? Do you need to go see a doctor?" "I'm okay, I'm all right, I'm okay." I don't know why. Maybe she just wanted the show to go on and didn't think about herself enough.
I did try and suggest, maybe we should see a doctor. But, yeah, what does a mother know?
I was just so busy, I just kept putting it off. Finally, my naturopath insisted on me seeing a specialist, and then I ended up getting an appointment with Jason Abbott.
Hi Emma, how you doing?
Good,
Come on.
Jason?
So, tell me a little bit about what's been happening.
Well, I've had quite a lot of blood pretty much every day since September.
Once I'd seen Emma taking a history and I saw her ultrasounds, it was absolutely crystal clear that she had endometriosis. And she's just been ignoring it and pushing it by the wayside.
Like cramping in my legs, nauseous.
Endometriosis is a disease where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus grows outside the uterus, and it can attach onto all kinds of tissue, including the ovaries, the bowel, the bladder, the back of the uterus and the lining parts of the pelvis. And those lesions can grow and they cause pain and they can lead to infertility. Disease is now involving.
I was really surprised when we went to see Jason how full on he said it was. That was a big kind of wow moment.
10% of women have endometriosis in Australia. That's 730,000 women just like Emma who have this disease. So the way that we would approach it, we'd do a laparoscopy. This is a minimal access approach. So you've got small.
I needed surgery, but I just had no idea how to put that in our schedule. I mean, we have been touring non-stop since I started, so, to get more than a couple of days off, I just thought that just wasn't going to be possible. I went to approach Anthony, and the minute I started talking, honestly, I didn't even finish a sentence, and he was like, "Go, you need to do that now." I'd actually tried to push it further back, and he was like, "No, now. Do it now."
Hello, it's Emma here. It's so good to see you.
Wiggle's always been honest. We're humans.
I'm sorry I can't be at some of the shows coming up. I'm feeling a little bit sick and I've got to go to the hospital to feel a bit better.
We made the announcement because Emma is the most popular Wiggle by far, and they've got to know why she probably won't be at some shows.
I know you're here this morning to share some very personal health news.
I knew that if I had taken a break and not said anything, everyone would think I was pregnant. I didn't even think about being so blunt, but apparently I was. I just thought it was a really bad period and just really heavy bleeding, and I didn't really think much of it. I didn't think there was any way to sugarcoat it.
I guess you would love to perhaps use this situation to turn it into a positive and educate us a bit more about it.
Absolutely, and providing awareness for so many women.
Once I'd seen the interview with Emma on Today, I told her that she'd done more for endometriosis in one interview than I'd done in my last 20 years.
I was with her the day of the surgery, which was a very nerve-wracking day.
Endometriosis is staged 1, 2, 3 and 4 depending on its severity. 1 is the least, 4 is the worst. This next one is going to be right uterosacral. We got in and, as I had anticipated with Emma, hers was a stage 4 disease. Both ovaries were affected. They were stuck to the walls of the pelvis and they're stuck to the bowel. So that's a pretty bad disease. Super. Happy? Happy. We're all done. I always say if you're going to have a surgery, do it once, do it well. And in Emma's case, it went very beautifully.
Dear Molly, thank you for your card.
Emma found it really hard not being at the shows. think the idea of letting go for her is really tricky.
This one here is from America. Think happy thoughts and get well soon. Oh. Dear Emma Wiggle, I was pretty knocked out by the surgery. I felt very dizzy all the time and my reflexes were really slow, and even just to get back to doing things, I was still tripping over.
The first few weeks afterwards, she was very sore and very still. Just even balancing on one foot and what that meant for all the internal muscles, so it's incredibly hard.
We knew that Emma was planning to go on the US tour, and that was just 6 weeks after her surgery. 6 weeks sounds like a long time, but of course it evaporates very quickly when you're trying to recover from major surgery.
After 2 weeks, I'd had a reflex test and I didn't pass, and that really worried me. So I had another one the week after and I still didn't pass. And I think that's when it started to hit me.
I'm a little bit nervous about being back on stage in 2 weeks. The show runs for just over an hour and it's very jumpy, and so I've got a long way to go between now and then, but this will do just for the moment. $3 for the bow.
It was lovely to have her back and have the Wiggle team back together, because there's nothing better than us being on stage all together. It's great.
This is my second day back in Australia. I've done the Canada tour, which was fine, but it was only 1 or 2 shows a day. But yesterday we had 4 shows in the day, and when I woke up, I was sore. I'm sore right up the top in my higher abdomen.
I said to her, how are you feeling? And she said, oh, you know, there's some moves I couldn't do. And I said to her, because it's true, I said, Emma, the fact you're on the stage is all that matters to our audience. Seriously.
Everyone, let's hear it for the winner!
She's a real trooper, but, you know, I really do worry for her.
I've got a tummy pain now.
Emma's found it tricky coming back, and she's had the moments where she'll do a particular move and it'll just grab. I hope it's not too soon.
We're in Darwin on the 1st and the 2nd of September.
When's your Emma and Lockie? You've got an Emma and Lockie show somewhere.
It's on a weekend here.
Oh.
I've read people saying, oh, it just sounds like she's fine now, you know, but the reality is not what she presents. No, that's a big schedule. Like,
Yeah.
having watched you in Melbourne, we're all a little worried. The other day in Melbourne, you know, when she was on the last tour, she was on the ground. We were going to call an ambulance. She was in such pain. And that happened maybe 2-3 times since she's been back. Yeah. No one knew, but geez,
No.
it was a bit of a shock. So you're all right?
The girls had it under control.
I really should start letting the boys know about how I feel. I think it's just a part of me that doesn't want to worry anyone. I don't want to disappoint anybody. I don't want anyone to be sad or upset.
No, that one looks better.
Yeah.
Smell it.
I think my health was a real start for me to think about myself and to think about how healthy I was in myself, emotionally and spiritually and physically.
I've got crackers. I need some gluten-free bread.
We're very different, Emma and I. We're very, I think I'm the more romantic one. She's very much the down the line, and she's got her own way of doing things.
Slow down, you move too fast.
Emma and Lockie are really private. They keep it to themselves, their private lives, and I never pry. I just go, okay, you know.
I looked through all the original Wiggles.
There's not a lot of time in between to spend together outside Wiggles. It's kind of, it has been all-consuming, and that's been a tricky thing to get right, I suppose.
That would be a good one for the Emma and Lockie show, actually, because it's quiet. We should go there. we started to spend more time with our families, and that started to become quite a priority for us.
Yeah, they're so easy.
I think there was a realisation that romantically it just wasn't going the way that our friendship was going.
It's official, love is dead. And the entertainment world delivered some more sad news today with the purple and yellow Wiggles announcing their separation.
I think we decided to part our ways quite organically over the course of about 8 months.
He's warming up.
Here we go, Darcy, looking this way.
It was a mutual decision, and we wanted to wait to the end of the year and then try and work out a way to maybe make a statement to our fans.
Lachie and Emma play a huge part in our family.
Yeah,
Pete,
yeah.
is there any information around this marriage breakdown?
When the media first called, I think initially I thought, oh no, they don't really know what's going on. And then as the hours kept going by, I kept getting more calls, and I thought, oh, okay, I think people know more than we thought they did.
They announced today with a statement to the Daily Telegraph that they had gone their separate ways. They'd actually split up in February for a trial separation.
The other Wiggles didn't know. I don't really think many people knew about it. Lachie and I still really wanted to work on our relationship and work through some things together.
It is always hard. I mean, you never know what's really going on, and it's a personal thing. So we just are here to support them, and hopefully they'll be happy.
I'll do one more round so it's a bit tighter and that way it looks thinner. It's just going to be a bit softer on your hair.
We love that.
Yeah.
We're filming every single day for a new Emma series. And so during all that was when all the media broke, and I just kept thinking, I can't read that. I've got to read lyrics for a song. And so I think being busy has been very helpful. Now it feels like a bit of a relief. Now it feels like we can still work on that relationship, and we are. And I'll look up to the graphic, and there's like, oh, red.
What is it? Is red the first?
Yeah. Lachie has been so supportive, and I really can't thank him enough in all of this.
Dictionary.
Face is already red.
Yeah. Your face is already red.
For somebody who I think everybody would think, wouldn't talk to me, I think it's been so important to know that we have each other's backs.
We're going up to do Lachie Live. Are you okay?
Yeah, we're okay.
Yeah, you're right.
The media does doubt our affection for each other, and they won't write about that. But we genuinely care about each other, and we have been through all of this together. Out of everybody, the only person that really gets me is Lachie.
Petticoats dancing around.
Emma and I, from the very get-go, have had such a beautiful connection, and I think it's not a fluke that she's the most popular at all. She does everything with so much love, and it's awesome.
This has been one of the strangest years, and it has been tumultuous, but the truth is that Lachie and I love each other, and we'll be in each other's lives for the rest of our life, and so I think that makes us feel quite calm.